Hi friends, my name is Myrna and I am otherwise known as Mama is Bald. In today's video, I am going to be talking about some important features of what makes a wig realistic. And at the end of the video, I'm going to go over some FAQs of some commonly asked questions in regards to wigs. So let's get right into it. So when you're looking for a realistic wig, honestly, like for me, that was my goal. I wanted it to look normal again. I wanted to be myself again. So when I went hunting for my wig, I went in kind of blind, and I don't recommend that. And that's where I think you're going about it in a different way than I did because you're watching this video. I wish I would have done more research about different components and learned some vocabulary words associated to wigs. So I'm gonna talk about some of those vocabulary words with you guys. The human hair piece that I got was hand tied, and what that means is that the hair is hand tied to the piece instead of being machine sewn in. So with wefted pieces, there's gonna be like a strand of hair across like a machined piece of like string, fabric, whatever, and then they machine that onto a cap. And I can show you kind of what that looks like. So in this piece right here, this is machined piece. Okay, so this is like strands of hair are put across the wig and sewn onto the piece. Hand-tied pieces kind of fit more like a glove, I would say. They're just really just put in more meticulously, and that's why those pieces are a little bit more expensive, is because there's human labor that's involved, and then they're put in tighter together so it looks more natural. And then we can go into what the component of the cap has that make it look realistic when it transitions from your forehead to the top of your wig, and that is a lace top, lace front, and those are two components that I think are very important in my time of wearing a wig. I really want my piece to seamlessly go from my forehead to my part line and it to be low profile. There's also pieces that are silk top, which mimic like a faux scalp, and that is super realistic. Like that is probably one of my faves now. And then it's funny because when I initially started wearing wigs, I didn't want the faux scalp because I felt like there would be a noticeable difference of the transition between the lace front going into the faux scalp. And honestly, like over time, I've grown in love with it because it truly does mimic a scalp, and you have to do less customizations to make it look more natural. So it's a little bit more of an investment, but you're truly getting like the best look. So I highly recommend that. And on this piece here, this piece has, whoopsies. This piece here has a silk top, like I had mentioned, and like it literally mimics a scalp. So it goes from your lace front, as you can see, this is the lace front, and then it goes into this faux scalp looking top. And then another feature that you'll hear about wigs is bleached knots. And I throw some caution out when I talk about bleached knots because you can really damage the integrity of your piece if your wig is too bleached. So what I love is when companies do like a bleached just front, just to slightly hide the darkness of darker pieces, their knots, and it really creates a seamless transition. You don't see the knots that were tied into the piece when you have that bleaching. Another important thing that I think is important when you're wearing a wig and finding a wig to look more realistic is your ability to customize it. So not every wig has to be worn straight out of the box. Like you can cut bangs, you can put layers in, you can lessen the density by giving it, some, more customization to your face, layering around your own face and the length of your shoulders and your neck. You can totally make it look more suited for you. And I talked about this earlier in the video, and that's density. Density is a big deal. And like, I think that is one of the main things that a lot of people talk about is when a wig is too much hair for you. And you might have had, like I said earlier, really voluminous hair, and that might be a key feature for you that you might be wanting to look for. But for someone like myself who had finer hair, lower density is key. Being able to do an ear tuck is key for me. That's just something that is a non-negotiable. So that makes it feel more realistic to me. And then another really, really important thing that didn't happen for me when I was looking for a wig was being sized for my wig. The woman brought out a wig that was just the best in her opinion, and it didn't fit me. So for months and months and months, this wig was sliding forward, sliding back. It was not comfortable. It was laying on my ears, so I felt like I could feel it all the time. You shouldn't feel your wig on your head. It shouldn't be bothersome to you. It should feel comfortable. I love wearing my wigs. I don't even notice that they're there anymore. So sizing is key, and having someone who is knowledgeable about wigs and how they fit is very, very important. So now let's get into some frequently asked questions. The first frequently asked question that I get is, what is the most realistic looking wig? Well, the answer to that is kind of multifaceted because, like I said earlier, it all depends upon what looks most realistic to you. And typically, it's gonna be something that looks like what your bio hair looked like. But some features, in my opinion, of what makes wigs look the most realistic is having it be human hair, having a low profile, lower density, a faux scalp doesn't hurt, and a seamless transition from your forehead and into your wig. I think that's what makes a wig look realistic. The next question is, are real-looking wigs expensive? And from experience, yes. There was sticker shock when I went into my first appointment and I saw what wigs cost. You have this impression that, you know, they're gonna be a few $100s, and that's might be the reality for synthetic pieces, but you're not gonna get quality there, you're not gonna get longevity there, and you're probably gonna be unhappy within a few months because your wig is gonna be trash. That's like pretty much what happens with synthetic pieces. You can only wear them for a few months if they're like your daily driver. The fiber just gets all messy and gross, and you're not gonna be able to put a brush through it. So yes, wigs are expensive. And the next question that I get is, how long do realistic wigs last? Well, that is also a question that has various answers because it just depends upon what brand you go with. Like, different brands have different longevity, the quality, it really matters. What they do to their hair, like I talked with you guys earlier about Bleached Knots. If your wig brand is bleaching the entire lace top, you might end up having, you know, a bald wig, and it's because those knots become so weak that they break off, and then you no longer have hair in that area. So when I told you guys that there's brands that only bleach it slightly just so the knots aren't as noticeable, that is super key. But longevity wise, you have some wigs that last, realistic wigs that last, 6 months, and you have some wigs that last 5 years. You gotta really do your research and really gotta pay attention to brands, how people talk about different brands, what the reputation of those brands are, and then you can make a really good solid decision. Another question that I get a lot is, can people tell if you wear a wig? Not a really good one. They're not gonna be able to tell. People are surprised that I wear wigs, and I definitely wear wigs, okay? So every time I reveal my story and I tell people I'm wearing a wig right now, they're like, shut up. Or for example, my son's baseball team, I show up with different color, they're like, I had no idea you wear wigs. It's because I wear quality wigs. Now I'm gonna put my wig back on. Okay, another question I get, let's see. How realistic are synthetic wigs? Oh, well, now I'm gonna take off my wig again because that is a good question to show you guys. Okay, so I do wear synthetic wigs. There's a purpose as to why I wear synthetic wigs, and it's for different water related things that I do. If I'm going to a super humid place or it's raining and I'm like not catching a break as far as, you know, liquids being around my wig, I want to preserve the integrity of my wigs and I want to protect my investment. So I will wear a synthetic at times, and I like to wear synthetics that are short because I talked to you guys earlier about the fiber becoming all nasty after wears, and that typically happens from the friction of the fiber against your clothing. And I'm gonna show you, my synthetic doesn't look bad on me, okay? Like, I look cute, I get compliments, but it's uncomfortable, if I'm honest. It's a little itchier. It tangles super easy, and the knots are just super visible. So I typically wear my synthetics with a hat. So that's my, you know, advice as far as synthetics go. Synthetics also typically come with open wefts, which it's a tough one because you have hairs that come through the open wefts and then they're kind of a pain in the butt to put them back through. So that can be a little tricky as well. But yes, there's a purpose for synthetic wigs and they can look nice, but only for short periods of time. Okay, let's move on to another question while I put on my wig that I love. Let's see. Flip her back over, here I am. Okay, let's move on to the next question that I get frequently, and that is, who makes the most realistic looking wig? Well, in my opinion, it's Follea by Alain. That's what I wear. Those are my daily drivers, and I have multiple pieces now that I've invested in because I'm obsessed. They have all of the features that I look for: the low density, the low profile, realistic looking part lines, seamless transition from my forehead. It's just, the list goes on, and I've never felt more gorgeous in a wig than in my Folleas. All right, and the last question, how do you find a real looking wig? Well, my advice to you is to try on a lot of wigs, see what they feel like, different lengths, different sizes, look at different cap constructions, and make sure that whatever brand you're going through and gonna, you know, work with is offering returns and exchanges so that you really can go through that process of trial and error. You don't want to be stuck with something that you're unhappy with and spend money on something that is not going to make you feel the best you can feel. I think that finding a real looking wig is not hard. I think that you just need to make sure that you can talk through the process of finding your wig with your consultant. I've done it two different ways. I've walked into a wig salon and I trusted the person, not knowing anything about it. Don't go in blind. Know some vocabulary, do some research, and I've done it the opposite way and done it with a lot of knowledge and wished I would have gone that way, the second way, and regretted my first experience, that knowing that there was a better option. I did an in-person consultation. I had someone that did fittings with me, that went through various colors with me, educated me through the whole process. So there is those options. So don't limit yourself. Get out there, do your research, and you'll find the perfect wig for yourself. Finding the most realistic wig is a game changer. It changed my life. I feel the most like myself, the most beautiful, and I don't even really think about hair loss anymore. I remember, you know, how traumatic it was, and it's not even an issue for me anymore. And I think that that's what's gonna happen for you when you find the most realistic looking piece for yourself. Don't wait till you're desperate. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I hope this video was super helpful.